Nobody comes to us from the director of Hardcore Henry and stars Bob Odenkirk as an action star, which is pretty damn awesome. He plays an ordinary family man who comes off as someone who is pretty much a nobody. He does pretty menial work Monday to Sunday. He's got a very fixed schedule, and that's how it always goes. However, when something goes horribly wrong, he's forced to tap into a side of himself that he hasn't quite unlocked in a long time, and so things happen. Bones get broken, people get beaten up, some people die, of course, and now we have an action movie. Before I continue, I realize there hasn't been a review in about 2.5 weeks, and I apologize for that. The reason is there wasn't quite a lot to do at that time. I didn't go to the theater, so I hadn't seen Nobody until now. So I finally got a chance to see it. But also, in that time, 50 more subscribers have come on this channel. And to that, I say thank you very much. And if you want to support the channel a lot more, please do subscribe. Of course, hit the button down below if you want to. And it really means a lot. So thank you so much. Without further ado, let's talk more about the movie now. This movie comes to us from the director of Hardcore Henry, but it also comes to us from the writer of John Wick. And you can tell because there are a lot of similarities that are there between this and those three movies. There are some visual similarities, of course, but there's also a few little subtle nods here and there. The main poster of the movie, for instance, is a riff on John Wick Chapter 2, which was pretty funny. And there's a lot to admire, actually, in this movie. I had a really great time with it, but aside from the fact that you can make a lot of comparisons to that, and you can also make all the comments in the world about how it's not the most original film, how it doesn't quite always do things in the most unconventional ways, like you've seen it 1,000 times before, you can make all of the comments you want to make. But this film knew exactly what it wanted to be. And one of the reasons it really, really works is because of Bob Odenkirk. Because this is a very unconventional role for him. And when actors take on roles that are not the kind of things that you usually see them in, it's often very fascinating because it can lead to some really amazing moments from them, and this one is definitely one of those cases. He's really great in this movie, and as is everybody in it. There's also one really great turn from Christopher Lloyd in this, which I'm not going to spoil for you, but it was really great seeing him, and he does a really, really great job in here. And the action sequences are, as advertised, very, very good. They're really violent and brutal. It's also great because you don't necessarily see Odenkirk as this sort of superhero. He takes beatings. He gets his ass kicked while he's also in the middle of those fights. He's not a one-man machine. He's not like John Wick. That is the main difference between that guy and this guy, and the fact that in this case he has a family. The difference is that in John Wick's case, yeah, he took a lot of beatings, but he could clear an entire room. By chapter 3 especially, he was practically unstoppable in a lot of those sequences. In this scenario, he's not quite that way. Like, yeah, there is a point in this movie where he does become a little more invincible, but for the most part, he's taking the hits as he's giving the hits. And I think that works really, really well. It has a really great soundtrack, some really cool cinematography too, and some very skillful direction. And a lot of that, again, goes to Hardcore Henry, because if you watch that film, while that was in first person and this is in third person, I mean, it doesn't change the fact that a lot of the skillfulness that was in some of those action sequences in Hardcore Henry, you can see that over here too. Now, like I said, you could go into this movie expecting a very riveting story, something more in-depth to latch onto, but this movie is based on one premise. It has one very square idea on what it wants to do, where it wants to go, and how it wants to accomplish those things. And the movie manages to do all of those things in the most effective way possible that it can think of. And in that sense, I do enjoy the film. I think it's a film that's made with one very core premise in mind, which is to watch Bob Odenkirk do a bunch of really badass stuff and give you some stuff to care about here and there, so that when he is in danger, you do somewhat care about the fact that he is in a lot of trouble. Speaking of people who I was surprised to see in this movie, someone I haven't seen his name come up in any of the reviews, and probably, I don't know if I will, but it was kind of funny seeing Michael Ironside in this. Seeing him in this was pretty cool. Like, he has a couple of moments in this, and I was like, oh shit, it's that guy. That was probably fueled by the fact that I just watched Top Gun and Total Recall very, very recently, and so it was on my mind. But that was cool. That's my little tidbit of pop culture awesomeness, I guess, that I noticed in a movie. Beyond that, Nobody is a pretty simple film, which has a lot of similarities. Yes, it has the typical Russians are the villains and the Americans have to stop them. We've seen that a bajillion times before, and you can make all the stereotypical comments on that, but overall, it's a film that has, like I said, it has one main premise, and it sticks to landing on that premise pretty well. And for that reason, I'm gonna give Nobody an 8 out of 10. Guys, thank you very much for watching, and once again, I apologize for not really being active over the last couple of weeks, but thank you to all the people who have subscribed. It means a lot, and your support is everything, and I hope to keep making good content so that more of you can hopefully subscribe down the line. It's really about the content for me. It's not always about the numbers, but if I am doing something right, it's nice to know that, more people want to come back for more, and I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. You guys are the best. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys at the movies.